This is for anyone who thought the Chicago housing market would tank in 2023. How have home sales done in the past year? Now, just to define this is the number of transactions, number of closed transactions. Why this is such a hot topic for me is because everybody knows the media is a huge topic for me, and this is the one that they love to do a little fuzzy math on.
Well, they see the transactions going down, and then they use that as kind of a clickbait scare tactic versus, hey, pricing is stable and that.
Exactly.
And it's almost like predicting the accuracy of it.
Our prediction was that we were expecting that home sales were going to decrease slightly from inflated numbers in 2022.
And they did.
And they did. They probably they decreased more than we originally thought they were. They decreased. Overall, we've seen the entire city that we talked about is down 25%.
Yep.
The north side urban neighborhoods were down 27%. And then the downtown, as you said, only down 17%.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting question, we expected it to go down. Those numbers of what were down are very similar to what the inventory was down. So one may ask, if we have 25% less homes to sell people and our home sales go down 25%, is there a correlation?
Yeah. It essentially was demand was out, like supply was matching
we didn't have enough
demand
homes to sell people.
Yeah.
We had a lot of people that ended up stepping back from the market because they were just tired of looking for
waiting
nothing.
And seeing nothing that they liked or anything like that.
Yeah,
and then also being priced out.
For certain. And I think that's the important part with the media. As we always say, we have a lot of respect for what they do. Their motives are going to be different than ours. Their motives are...
They're a business as well.
They're a business. They're selling ad space, which is totally fine. But if their story is that home sales are down 30% in Bucktown, they're probably not going to tell you in the big bold print that we had 27% less homes to sell people. Yes. Which in theory, when you think about it that way...
And that price was stable.
So when you think about it that way,
it's full story.
It's a full story. But overall, we were correct. We just, once again, we were slightly off because we missed the mark on inventory. And by missing the mark on inventory, we just didn't know that the home sales were going to go down. But we saw the direction that we expected because we knew that so many people had changed their housing environments in 2022 that was a natural thing that was going to happen in the year. I think that we're going to see the number of home sales tick up with the inventory ticking up. So if we can get that inventory to tick up a little bit, because we know we're still going to be undersupplied, if we can get that inventory, we should see a slight tick up. If we've got all those people that are sitting on the fence waiting for those interest rates to come down, that in theory, if that inventory goes up, we should see a slight uptick in the number of home sales. But I think there's going to be a huge tie, just like there was this year. That's where we were so far off in the tie between those two. Plus, we know that this past year was a little bit slower for those things. So in theory, it should put it. Now, the question mark in my mind on that is how the second half of the year plays out.
I agree with you because obviously in my theory of the talking about inventory, that should be my thought process.
In theory, it's how paralyzed will our market get from the election?
And that's like, the that's mark. Throwing in the wrench
because it could
on
be
my brain.
Really
I'm like,
bad.
Yeah, just because I think this year it's going to be such a contentious one that I'm curious to see what actually happens with it. But
the whole social media aspect I think is going to be awful. Yeah, just awful.
Well, and especially with AI coming out, and I think like there's going to be a lot of false news, and so I think it's going to have a really big impact this year. But again, if anything happens,
if the war with Israel and Palestine has shown us anything about fake news and how corrupt that whole aspect can be, I think that's a precursor of what's to come in the new year, I think.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to agree with you on the inventory going up but I think also the transactions going up.
Yep.
Because I think it's going to kind of pace it out.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be a big difference. I think it'll be
minimal. Yeah, I think it'll be very similar to this year.
Yeah.